RLCSX returned on the 5th of October for the second fall regional event here in Oceania. There were over 50 teams once again competing in an open Swiss ladder to try and qualify into that first stage. However, there were even less spots available. 24 instead of 26 would advance, making the competition that much tighter. Stage 1 would then see 32 teams competing in a double elimination group to find our top 16, featuring a new Swiss structure where the top 16 would only be drawn down to top 8. As we fast forward to Stage 2, most results from Stage 1 were to be expected. However, some surprises did occur. Both Ferox and the Southern Stars each qualified against their invented rivals, Fury and Canberra Havoc, respectively. With the new Swiss structure, Stage 2 became much simpler. 3 wins, you're in. 3 losses, you're out. This meant for the teams like, Gaming Gamers, who got upset in round 1 against No Dramas, or, Canberra Havoc, who got upset in game 5 to the Direwolves with that infamous Brazil scoreline, they would then have to win 3 out of their next 4 games. Round 2, though, that would be a return to normalcy. Well, kind of. Yes, whilst on stream, Mindfreak continued to show why they are a top 4 team with a crushing 3-0 series victory over No Dramas, only needing that one infield pass to secure the final game. It was off stream where the Canberra Havoc lost another key game, this time against Fury, to send them 0-2, meaning they would need, that Canberra Havoc reverse sweep in order to qualify. More on this later. In round 3, we got our first heavyweight fight as 2 favorites, Renegades and Ground Zero, squared off in the first playoff qualifying match. These 2 titans would go blow for blow, yet it would be the Renegades taking games 1 and 3, Ground Zero taking games 2 and 4, meaning, game 5 time where Renegades would prevail. 3-1 victory, and thus they would be joining Cringe Society in that top 8. It was a battle of up-and-comers in round 4 as the surprise success of Vort Central took on No Dramas to see who would qualify along Ground Zero and Mindfreak in this 4th round. Despite early successes in both the tournament and in this series, the clutch gene, it just wasn't on for No Dramas' side as Vort Central would win not 1, not 2, but 3 overtimes in a row to qualify with the 3-1 scoreline. This would leave 6 teams fighting for those last 3 spots in the top 8 as we move forward into round 5. Despite scoring a couple upsets up until now, Ferox would have to prove themselves once more against the mechanical prowess of the Gaming Gamers lineup. Unfortunately for them, Gaming Gamers would not only qualify 3-0, they would do so shutting out Ferox in all 3 games, qualifying for top 8 alongside Canberra Havoc and Fury. That's right, Havoc, they pulled off that reverse sweep we mentioned before. Now, for the playoffs, with knockout best of 7s, from here on out, it's either win big or go home. Single elimination, let's go to day 4. The quarterfinals would start with Vort Central looking to upset the benchmark of the top 4, Mindfreak. Even though Vort Central were able to find a couple wins during the affair, it was once again Mindfreak's defense that seemed to carry the squad through, only giving up an average of 1 goal per game as they marched to a 4-2 series victory. The next quarterfinal would continue with another rematch, Cringe Society taking on Fury. The squad of Kenny Salmon, Scarth, and Matro staved off that sweep from Cringe Society after a 5-minute overtime in Game 4, but they could not defeat the defending regional champs, falling 4-1 to the Cringe Society, who have thus far only dropped 2 games in this tournament. The favorites would continue to win in the 3rd quarterfinal match, as the Renegades would go on to topple the Gaming Gamers in 5 tense games. What made this series unique, though, was how both teams' defenses seemed to withstand constant punishment, as many games were decided by only 1 point. Game 4 in particular ended regulation at 0-0. These are supposed to be 2 offensive teams. What's going on here? Yet, it was the deciding Game 5 when both teams' offenses, they decided to show up, and it was the Renegades who came out on top. The Canberra Havoc miracle run through Stage 2 would now see them face against Ground Zero in our 4th and final quarters match. Despite carrying the momentum of 3 straight series victories, Havoc, they were not up to the task of taking down the more aggressive Ground Zero, who unleashed a flurry of goals on their way to the 4-0 victory. The dominant Ground Zero performance would then be a sign of things to come as we advance to the semifinals. Well, in a roundabout way. It would be Cringe Society versus Mindfreak, followed by the Renegades and Ground Zero. What we would soon come to realize, however, was that OCE was still a top-heavy region, with the two tournament favorites each asserting why the debate is always between Cringe and RNG. Both of these teams produced statement-making 4-0 victories over their respective opponents, and this would go on to set up El Clasico one more time in our grand finals. Because, I mean, who else could it be, really? Coming into the grand final, the defending regional champions had not only won every series, Cringe Society had done so only dropping 2 games on their warpath through this event. This is why there's a bit of a shock when it was the Renegades who not only squeaked away with the victory in game 1, but then doubled down, putting 4 goals on Cringe in game number 2. Cringe's defense would bounce back in game 3, however, they failed to score a single goal, putting them in a devastating 0-3 position that they just could not climb out of. CJ in particular was on point throughout, not through this series, but throughout this entire event, and even though it wasn't a sweep, Cringe did win game 4, but it was the game 5 barrage of late game goals that put the Society too far back, and it was the Renegades climbing back atop the OCE mountain as they were our second regional champions. This second regional taught the OCE fanbase quite a fair bit. We saw an improved format, more matches, and more importantly, a clear-cut line of what it takes to be the best. It seems that the fight for first is becoming a 2-horse race, yet Mindfreak's consistency and Ground Zero's slow resurgence may give them more opportunities to break through this in the future. With these 2 events finished now, though, the pressure will be on, with all teams looking to qualify for that first Oceanic Fall Major following our 3rd regional. Whilst the top 10 teams do seem pretty secure in their positioning, the brawl to finish top 16 in our next event promises not only to be dramatic, but one of those situations where every win is going to count. Furthermore, with the scoreline between Cringe Society and Renegades now sitting 1-1 with each other, expectations that we're going to see our 3rd rubber match between these two as we head towards our big premiere event. ESL has open registration still open for our next regional event. It's going to be starting in 1 week's time, so please get your team together, get on that website, sign up, and compete with some of the best. You never know, you could find yourselves playing on that main stage one day soon.